Welcome to Table Talk, where there's always room at the table. I am your host, Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, and we can't wait to talk to these fine guests. Enjoy the show. And good morning, everybody. It's Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. Well, this is recorded, right?
Yep.
All right, let's do that part again.
Just go from the top.
Because I just said good morning, and this airs in the afternoon, doesn't it?
Sure.
Okay. How about this?
From the top.
Hello, and welcome to Table Talk with J. Harmon Home Team. My name is Jonathan Harmon, and we've got a really cool guest today, and I can't wait to talk to him. Before we get started, so I don't forget, the most important thing that we say all day today is call my friend Brian Nail over at Premise Mortgage. And Brian is actually out in the wilderness right now. Trent, did you know that?
I did.
Yeah,
Pretty jealous.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures. He's like walking canyons. And
yeah.
I hope that he comes back and he's like, dude, I rode a burro. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that he rode a burro down the canyon. If Brian, I know you can't hear me,
burro,
but if I'm channeling this to you, ride a burro so I can live vicariously through you.
I want to ride a donkey down a mountain too.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I think they're called burros out there. They're not called donkeys.
You can't say donkey.
No, they're burros.
Okay.
Yeah, get it right, Trent.
It's probably got to roll the R a little more then.
Maybe, but I'm from here. You know, this is how I sound. So anyway, let's hear from Brian over at Premise Mortgage, huge supporter of all things Spread the Positive.
Hey, my name is Brian Nail. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Premise Bank Mortgage. I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission and helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's truly a pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com.
Premise Mortgage is a subsidiary of Premise Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Premise Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
Idea for a business venture.
Let's go.
Burro tours.
I actually love it. I'm mad that
you
I
can
like
ride
it
a burro around the burrow.
Stop.
Nice. Come on.
I'm actually mad how much I like that.
Listen, if you steal that from me, all I want is give me 15% royalty. That's all I want, because I definitely don't want to manage the business. But anyway, burrows in the burrow.
Stop. That's really funny.
How much can you do with that? It'd be amazing. Anyway, okay. Let's talk about the good stuff today. We've got a guy here, Mr. Matt Wiley, and Matt is a flight nurse. He does, I guess, critical care type stuff, like emergency type stuff, on a helicopter, and then gets off the helicopter, right? Like helps get everybody stable to get them on the helicopter, and then works on them on the helicopter. So it's a service that I hope you will never, ever, ever have to use. But by God, when you do, I hope that this guy shows up.
Thank you.
So pretty cool. All right. So, man, I got so many questions. So one, did you aspire to be a flight nurse, or is it just something that's evolved? Like, walk me through your graduating high school to right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've had a whole lot of jobs in a whole lot of different professions.
I love it. Let's hear it. Me too.
I've done food service, fast food. I've done restaurant, done construction, I've done landscaping, home remodeling. Worked at Nissan 2 years. Drove for Uber. EMT, paramedic, then nursing, and here we are.
So I've done most of those. I actually tried to drive for Uber once, and they didn't like a document that I submitted, and so I never actually got to drive. And I still get emails from them like, your profile's almost complete.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Oh my God. This has been a long time. Give up. And what was funny is they were like, you've only got 7 days to finish your profile, however long ago. And I'm like, You're lying to me because you're still asking me.
The Uber was on a dare. It was.
Was it really?
Yeah, you won't do it. And I was like, I'll do it.
For 2 years?
Well, no, I did it for about 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Nissan was 2
was
years.
2 years. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. 10 years at Cracker Barrel though. So.
Really? My son worked for Cracker Barrel. He only made it about 6 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, maybe 8 weeks.
It
but anyway,
can be tough.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. He's got. I think he would be good for it, except that he's also in school, and so the time was a lot. But so I guess let's get to the healthcare portion of this. So you started doing EMT, that kind of stuff. What made you get into that line of work? Because that's a pretty serious line of business there.
Yeah, probably my dad. He works over here at MTSU at the Campus Recreation Center, and I grew up. He taught water safety, he taught lifeguarding, and all those things. So I was always the victim for the lifeguards as a kid. So I'd swim to the bottom of the pool, and they pull me out. So I'd help him teach CPR, first aid, and all that stuff. Even as far back as I can remember, 3-5 years old, just doing that forever. So, it would just seem natural to go into that profession. So I was doing all these other things, and they just didn't align with what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. So,
a little soul searching, that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then so I signed up to go to EMT school originally to be a fireman, because the fire department was transitioning into first responder role. So I wanted to join the fire department.
Which a lot of people are. That's interesting. A lot of people aren't aware of this. You have, as a firefighter, you have all kinds of different calls that you show up on that have nothing to do with fires.
Right.
And it's because the majority of them now are at least EMTs.
Yeah, things don't burn like they used to. Fire safety, they've done a really great job educating the public. Smoke alarms are better. Fire suppression systems are better. Commercial codes are better. So, now they kind of transition into
the first responder. Things don't burn like they used to.
Yeah, they don't. They just,
yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, a fire truck might show up to, any number of things, right?
Right. Yeah. And they've got full service ALS providers, which is advanced life support. So they've got paramedics now that are licensed to do, interventions that they originally only could do on the ambulance. So,
right. And then what's the difference? So you did EMT school. What's the difference in an EMT and a paramedic?
EMTs that's where you learn your basic assessment skills. That's where you learn bandaging, how to package people, how to get them out of a car safely, basic first aid stuff. And then you learn paramedic is more heart monitor. You learn how to do 12 leads. And then you also do intubations for breathing for people when they can't breathe on their own. So just a little bit more.
It's the next step.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So you did that, training. Thought about being a firefighter. What made you not do that?
About 3 months into EMT school, I was like, man, I really want to help people more, and without learning all the other stuff, more just focusing on people. And the instructors for EMT school also ran the 911 service here in the Rutherford County. So if you were top of the class, then you got traditionally offered a position for 911, which the previous path was you would work a convalescent truck, which would be you help do dialysis runs, or if someone got discharged from the hospital, you'd take them home.
Move from one
that was kind of like the rite
of
passage. You'd go through that, and then you get 911 after that. But if you did well enough in the class, you could go straight to 911. So that was fortunate to do that. So I went straight from EMT school to the 911 truck.
Wow. Okay. And then, of course, then the next iteration, the next step is to do the paramedic stuff.
Right.
And then you took it a step further.
And then I went to nursing school. So I worked 911 on the ambulance, and then I started working in the ER as a tech, as a paramedic, helping in the emergency department here at St. Thomas. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to be here, I might as well be able to do more. So
and let's be honest, make a little bit better money.
Right. Totally. And it was a big challenge. It was a big step because I had 4 kids and 2 jobs and trying to juggle all this stuff. And it's like, hey, I told my wife I'm going to nursing school, and she's like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
When are you planning on doing that?
Right. Yeah. How are you gonna squeeze that in your schedule? And I've kept my old calendars, because if you look at it on paper, it shouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
I wrote sleep from midnight to 4 a.m.
I can relate to that.
Those times.
Yeah.
I slept in my car a lot. There was a lot of it was a big challenge. But my wife, she told me, she said the time will go by either way. At the end of 2 years, you'll be a nurse or you won't. So the 2 years is going to go by either way. You might as well just do it.
She's pretty smart.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Now, where did you go to nursing school?
Columbia State.
Okay.
Yep. So I went to EMT school through MTSU's continuing education department here in town, and then paramedic school was through Columbia State, and then nursing school through Columbia State as well.
Very cool. And so now, are you an RN? Is
Correct.
that? There's so many different. I've learned so much about this, man. There's so many different versions of nurses. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I'm actually back in school getting my BSN, the bachelor's degree. So Columbia State offers. I know, right? Of course, why not? Yeah, so I've got my associate degree in nursing, and then going back to finish up my bachelor's. HCA is covering it. They partner with Galen College, and I feel like I'm leaving money on the table if I don't do it. So
now, what does that do for you? I mean, does that give you? Does it open? I'm coming from a teaching background, right? So as you like, you can't be an administrator without certain credentials and that kind of thing. So is there a next step beyond what you're doing that the BSN allows you to move up, or is it just more pay?
Yes, sir.
Not that that's bad.
No, I had taken an interim role as a manager of our flight team,
mm-hmm.
and the stipulation to do that job was to get your bachelor's degree within 2 years. So I started down that path, and then kind of backed off the manager role. So we've hired someone else to step into those shoes. I just got so much going on right now. It was just kind of overwhelming to do that and this and everything else I got.
So let's not leave out the fact that you said just a minute ago, you have 4 kids.
Right.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
It's weird to say kids. I was thinking about this because my oldest is 20. So like,
what? Time out. You have a 20-year-old?
She'll be 21 in August.
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
You're like 35, dude.
Yeah, we started early. My wife and I, we started early. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So we kind of beat the odds on that. So we are both teen parents.
Uh-huh.
We had our oldest child 2 days before our senior year in high school started.
Wow.
And then, so we did school with the kid and all those things.
And stayed together.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I'll
top on that.
Yeah, thanks.
That is very cool. And what's your wife's name?
Kelly Wiley.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kelly she's a travel agent. She specializes in Disney and Universal stuff. So
okay.
Kelly at the Castle. So plug her in there.
Kelly at the Castle.
Yeah, Kelly at the Castle.
So
she's down at Disney right now. This year, I think we've been twice. She's already been to California once this year, and she's on her 4th or 5th trip for 2023.
I see. So all this school eats into your mouse time.
It does. It does. It totally does.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, that sounds like a pretty exciting. Now, how old are the rest of your kids?
So we got 20, 16, 12, and 10. 2 of them just had birthdays, so trying to.
Yeah. That's okay. I don't remember my kids. It's okay.
It's a big year for birthdays because we got one turning 21. We got one turning 16. She turned 16. The next one's becoming a teenager at 13, and then the double-digit birthday from 9 to 10.
Like you hit all the milestones in 1 year.
In 1 year. So
that's amazing.
It's a hit to the wallet.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. My son just turned 16. I say just. It was in October, so he's almost 17. And then my wife and I blended family, so we've got 10, 11, 12 between us. 10, 11, 12, 16. That's
you're busy too.
It's exciting, and they're all involved in something.
Right. Yeah, kids attract more kids, and they attract more activities.
Oh my gosh.
And things. So
yeah,
we own 3 minivans, like just to help shuttle people to and fro every day, like the cheerleader carpool to the Boy Scouts. Yeah,
that's awesome. 3 minivans.
Yep.
You need to meet my friend Katie. Katie is on the school board, but she also has a company called Space Shuttle. And so she found herself in the position of shuttling kids around all the time, right? Her kids and all of their friends and whatnot. So she was like, I'm just going to make a business out of this.
That's smart.
Her kids and my kids both went and go to, depends on which kid we're talking about, Thurman Francis, which is a magnet school. And so the magnet schools, you don't have buses.
Right.
And so she was like, enter Space Shuttle. Right.
Yeah.
And so Katie Darby over there, Space Shuttle, you have a kid at a magnet school, you need to hit her up.
So during all of that nursing school and all of those things, we had two of ours were at Discovery School, one's at campus. So
yeah,
there was
same thing.
My wife there was 4 kids in 4 different schools. So it was all these drop-offs.
Oh yeah.
3 or 4 hours a day in the car.
Yeah. Yep. I have burned up the hotspot on my phone sitting in the car rider pickup line. Yep. Right. Yep. I hear you. All right. So let's get back to the flight nurse thing. So you were explaining to me before we started kind of how the all of that stuff works. So the helicopters don't belong to the hospital, but the crew on the helicopters, I guess minus the pilot, right, do belong to the hospital.
Right.
And so there's this partnership. Explain that a little bit better.
It's like a hybrid. So the hospital provides the medical equipment and the medical crew, typically a nurse paramedic combination. And then the pilot and the helicopter are serviced by a vendor. So because typically a hospital doesn't employ a mechanic that works on helicopters. So that's just odd. They don't typically have a pilot on staff, and just how to meet their needs.
Yeah, it doesn't fit their business model, so they outsource it.
Yep. But then it's all the medical part, our medical directors through HCA and through Skyline Medical Center, so they can control the medical side and the branding and the treatment that we provide as far as the medical goes. But then they leave the helicopter maintenance and all that stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, fiscally, that makes a lot of sense. So what, like in a regular land-based ambulance, there isn't necessarily a nurse, like an actual RN, right? It's just paramedic and or EMTs.
Correct. Yep.
So why is there? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Okay. Yeah. Why is there? I guess I hate to say it this way, but a higher level of care or a more intensive care, I guess, on the helicopter.
So we get into a lot more interfacility transfers. So it'll be hospital to hospital. So someone is sick, say in Dixon, Tennessee, or Knoxville, or Memphis, or somewhere like Erin or Lexington, Tennessee, and they're there and they've had some testing done. They know they have some kind of diagnosis, and they need to get from that hospital to another hospital quickly. Or just a higher quality of care, because a hospital-based system has access to equipment and resources that a typical ground unit doesn't have access to, or not as easily, because they're not partnered with the hospital. So the nurse paramedic combo, the nurses are more familiar with what happens inside the facility, and then paramedics and EMTs were built for handling emergencies like landing on the interstate, that kind of thing. Now they're more than capable to do the interfacility stuff, but nurses were built inside the hospital, so they kind of get that.
So it's like a flying hospital room then.
Yeah, very much so.
As opposed to just a fast transport type.
Right. So our service model, we offer things that other helicopters don't. So the main reason that HCA got into the air medical industry was to offer ECMO services, and ECMO is like heart-lung bypass. So we'll fly people on ECMO machines. So we'll go out to a facility and we'll put them on this heart-lung bypass machine, and then bring them back to.
So essentially, that whole like living by machine type situation. Is that what you mean?
Very much so. Yep. So it really peaked in COVID. So COVID was really affecting people's lungs and things. So you take blood out of their body, it runs through this machine, it oxygenates it and skips the lungs, lets the lungs rest, and then puts it back in. So it lets the lungs rest. So that's just
wild.
Super advanced treatment that not every helicopter is capable to carry that sophisticated stuff or have the resources to do that. So we're fortunate to have that. So we've got a bigger helicopter than most. It's an EC-145. It's like a flying Escalade. So super fortunate to be in it, because we call it fancy because it's just big.
Yeah, because a lot of them they're pretty small.
Yeah. But we've got, like, you could fit this table in the back.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not at all what I picture.
Yeah, no, it's big. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so that differs from other, like, let's say life flight, where those are more to respond to emergencies. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, and they've got some outlining bases. So we're stationed in downtown Nashville, which you're not going to typically fly someone from downtown. So our specialty is interfacility,
moving into downtown.
Mm-hmm. So yep.
Gotcha. Okay. What it's probably bad form to ask this question, but I'm going to anyway. So, like, give me some examples, give me some war stories, if you will, of that maybe we wouldn't normally think of, that is a prime, like you said about the ECMO thing. What are some other things that, like, anytime that I think of helicopter transport for medical purposes, I'm thinking it's like dire emergency, like, oh my gosh, we can't get him there by ambulance fast enough. So what are some other, give me some, like, more specific examples of when that might come into play and be the right choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll respond to, say someone's having a heart attack and they go to, most facilities, bigger hospitals can do a cath lab procedure where you hear someone gets a heart stent. So they go in through their leg and their arm and they'll place a stent.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the heart's arteries are so far clogged with, plaque or whatever, that they can't stent them. They need a bypass surgery. So they need heart bypass. So sometimes they'll place what's called a balloon pump, and that helps perfuse the heart until they can get that procedure done. And then that procedure, open heart surgery, is not done at every hospital. So they need to do that at a bigger facility. So that would be something that we would need to go. If an ambulance takes them, for instance, they have to have someone who's credentialed to take care of that balloon pump. We are all credentialed. We have our own balloon pump, so we can fly to the facility. We'll place them on our pump, and then that facility keeps theirs in case someone else comes in.
Yeah.
So that if you take them by ground, which I did for years, you take the pump from the hospital and you take a nurse from the hospital.
Potentially.
Now they're short a person and an equipment to go all the way to Nashville and then come back, which can typically that can take 3 hours or more.
Now, do you guys only transport to and from Skyline? Like, is that
no? So that's a Vanderbilt, even Vanderbilt and HCA and Air Evac, and there's Erlanger and UT Lifestar.
Erlanger's Chattanooga, right?
Erlanger's Chattanooga. Yep. They'll transport anywhere to anywhere.
Okay.
So you could go from a St. Thomas facility to Vanderbilt, or we could go to HCA facility to Vanderbilt, or from a Vanderbilt facility to an HCA facility. We'll do.
Gotcha. And is that a function of the fact that the helicopter portion of it is separate, or is it just always cooperation between facilities?
Part of it is because it's serviced by a vendor. So MedTrans is our vendor. So as far as MedTrans goes, if someone needs help to get from this place to that place, that's their specialty to get them from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't imagine the billing involved in that. If you're going from non to non, yeah, it's like, we're going to do this as a,
when you stay within the same system, it's a little more seamless because all of the lab work, all of the imaging, all of that stuff is already in the computer system.
Even just the software, right?
Right. It's easy for the physician to pull it up at the new place.
Mm-hmm.
When you go out of the packet that you sometimes transport with them, and the imaging on the disc and all those things can be a book.
Yeah, I bet. So what's the craziest thing you've seen in the helicopter?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I mean, we do loads of things. So another reason that we would transport would be a stroke. So someone who needs thrombolectomy. Skyline just got their level 1 trauma certification, but they were also number 1 in the state, number 3 in the nation for advanced stroke care. So
no kidding.
Their stroke care is amazing. So say you have a clot in your brain and you're having a stroke, a thrombolytic clot, we can transport you to Skyline. They'll take you straight to a procedure and do a thrombolectomy where they'll pull that clot out, if they can't give you the medicine to fix that. So that's super advanced and amazing, but that's where seconds matter,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had I'm in Smyrna Rotary Club, and we had I forget the name of the organization, but it was a essentially stroke awareness type situation, and they were talking about some acronym. I don't remember what it is. Something about see and hear and
the BFAST. There's several.
That's
others.
it. I think that's
stroke scale. The balance eyes. Yeah.
Something I don't know, but yeah, and they were saying that even as little as 5 minutes treatment and not treatment make, massive differences.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. So what's a thrombolectomy?
Thrombolectomy is where they'll go in with a wire similar to a heart stent, but they'll go in and they'll pull that clot out of their brain through a
How do they do that?
Very delicately. Neurosurgeons, they're top of their game.
My goodness.
Yeah. So they can go in through major vessels into the brain, and they can grab onto that clot and then pull it out.
I struggled to get a freaking lint clog out of a 4-inch pipe. I don't even imagine. I can't even imagine how.
Trying to thread a sewing needle. Yeah. These guys are. Yeah.
Man, oh man, that's amazing. All right. So you're going to get the BSN. What's next?
That's
like what is your goal?
I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm discovering I'm a multi-passionate. Like I just enjoy lots of things.
You're going back into the food industry?
I don't think so. Like
usually that's a strong answer. Usually that's a no.
No, my retirement plan was originally to go back to Cracker Barrel because I really enjoyed working there. But companies change, things have changed. I don't know that that'll be a thing, but it may be. I enjoyed working there. It was great.
Keeping all the options open.
Yeah, totally. I don't burn any bridges or anything. So.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan will be. I just wrote an ebook.
You did?
I did, yeah. I put that.
Plug it. Talk about it.
Keep the calm. Talks about how to de-escalate situations in the emergency department. It's just 12 pages. It was more of a mental mindset block of like something that just hard to do, like just scared to do. You're writing a book and you put your name on it. You put it out into the world. But I took a 5-day course from Creator U on how to set this thing up and how to do it, and it's in 5 days you're gonna have this done. And I was like,
no kidding,
incredibly overwhelmed, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. And
we got to talk. I've got a book idea. It's a two book series.
Yeah. So this is just like it's a 12-page ebook, and it solves one problem. So it's focused on one problem, and it's more getting over that mental hurdle of like, this is so like just such a big obstacle that
that's killer.
Yeah.
I love that. That is very cool.
Keep the calm.
Keep the calm. And I guess, can somebody get that on Amazon?
No, it's not on Amazon. It's offered through Sam Cart. So I've got a link on my website or a link on profile on socials. Sky Nurse Wiley.
Sky Nurse Wiley,
SkyNurseWiley.com.
as it should be.
Yep.
Keep the calm. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, thanks, man.
How many copies do you sell? The copies or?
Yep. They're $7. So,
all right. How many have you sold?
Let's see. Probably about 20 or so.
It's fixing to be 21.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. So, all right. Keep the calm. Hold on a second. You totally derailed me with that one.
Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. So, is the ER, and then part B, the helicopter, is it at all like the TV shows?
Can be.
Okay.
So 10% of what presents to the ER, or 10% of what you see on the ambulance, is like actual emergency.
Like somebody's gravely injured or gravely ill.
Right. So it's about 10%. So if you see 150 people in the ER today, about 15 of them are like need emergency
bleeding out or whatever.
CPR, some kind of emergent airway or procedure. Now, that doesn't mean that the other 90% don't need medical care, because they do, but it's not like a minutes matter or seconds matter
right now. Because like the old TV show ER, it was like nonstop. Right. Like everybody that came in there, it was.
Now it can be like if you're at a level 1 trauma center, like such as Skyline or Vandy, you could, they see a lot more of the transfers. They get a lot more of that, higher acuity patients, but it's still about 10%.
And I would assume that a lot of times the plan going to the incident site changes when you're leaving from the incident site.
Right.
That probably happens pretty often, huh?
Oh, totally. Yeah, you go and you get dispatched for one thing. We've gotten dispatched for a fall, and it turns out to be a CPR, or you never know what it could be. And it could be you go for a car accident, and they had a car accident because they had a heart attack while they were driving, or they had a stroke while they were driving, or their blood sugar got low while they were driving. So there's like, you've got the original thing you go for is a car accident, and then you've got this other secondary.
A deeper, right. That was a symptom, not a.
Correct.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So you bring $120,000 worth of equipment to a call to try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
To sort it.
And sometimes it's all useless.
Yeah. Sometimes it is. Yeah, but the ER is essentially just a sorting station. So the two things first when you want to come in is discharge or be admitted. So do we think you can go home, or do we think you need to stay in the hospital? And then once they decide, all right, you need to stay in the hospital, now where do you go? Do you go directly to surgery? Do you go to med surge? Do you go to the ICU? Do you have a service like you need ECMO or something, and we can't do that here? Do we need to transfer you to a facility that can?
So it's all triage. It's all decision making, and like you said, sorting.
Yeah. So the ER is trying to figure out which bucket do you fit in, and how do we get you to the next step?
All right. So the question on everybody's mind, since you've been in an ER and now you take people to ERs and from ERs, why the crap does it take so long?
That is, everybody's trying to solve that. I can tell you, every hospital, every administrator is trying to solve the throughput problem. And it all just comes down to processes. And it's say death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
The ER, like I said, it lives and dies by every other department and all of these things that it can't control. So the
like
ER
you said, sorting. Like you need to go here. Well, if there's no space here, then you got to stay here.
Then it backs up.
And if you got to stay here, this person can't come into your space. Yeah.
So say, for instance, you come in and you need lab work. Well, then if the lab has a staffing issue or the lab has a machine down, now the labs take longer to come back than they typically would. People are left waiting. Or imaging. So we've got a whole bunch of CT scans ordered. There's a radiologist. He's trying to sort through them and read them. Now we're backed up.
And you can't really speed, like tell somebody to hurry up, because do you want to be the person that that they hurried up on?
Right.
No, nobody.
So there's certain things that you can do. They've got some bypasses for that, but then it seems like there's enough. So like if you have stroke symptoms, that stroke CT goes to the top of the scale, which is fantastic for you, but for the person who has something else that's not a stroke,
fourth and now it's fifth down the list,
right? Yeah. Because it got bumped. And the radiologist isn't always in the hospital. They may be getting 3 hospitals worth of imaging coming in, and they're sitting there reading them in a remote location, trying to sort through them as quickly as they can. So
wow,
it's just everything for the ER. They're at the expense of every other department. So
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. What's the most stressful job in the ER?
Probably the person in the waiting room, I would think. Because they're
catching all the hell, aren't
they?
They're
catching it, and they don't have any control over what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's part of what my book talks about, is the person who's in the waiting room is try not to focus on what you can't do, focus on what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can offer creature comforts, if you can offer blankets or, something, a cell phone charger, the Wi-Fi password,
Yeah, I can't make the doctor hurry, but what I can do,
we can update your vitals. We can, make sure that nothing's changing or getting worse. We can try to offer things that what we can do out here at this time. So.
But my natural question there is, how do you make somebody care?
How do you make them care?
Yeah, like you can't, can you?
You can't really, no, like as far as the person in the waiting room or like, you can't. And that I mean,
because for some it's just a job. You know what I mean?
True. And I say there's several people who talk about getting into healthcare, but they just say they care too much and they're just so sensitive. But you would want someone who cares that much and who's that sensitive taking care of you. But it's just a matter of channeling into something that's objective and productive versus, just sitting in the fields. So totally sensitive person, totally emotional person. But like, I look at things objectively of like, how can I treat you like family? How can I give you the best care that I would want, or I would want for my, person.
What do you do with the feels, right?
Yeah.
For some folks it's paralyzing, and then for others it is short circuits, right? And then for others it's like, no, it puts me into action.
Right. I don't like to sit and watch something going down. If I can't help participate, then I don't want to be a part of it.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So if I like go to an accident and I'm like sitting in my car, I don't want to sit there and watch it because I want to do stuff and I want to help. But like if it's my off day, then it's someone else's time to do that. Now, if there's back in the day when I worked Rutherford County, we had full authority to stop and help. And if you wanted to get paid, you could email your time in and say, yeah, I helped on this accident, if no one was there, but if there's other people there, I'll let them do their thing.
Right.
But, yeah. But I don't think you can care too much. It's just a matter of channeling the care and the sensitivity that you would, if you can take better care of someone than what you would want to be taken care of.
That makes sense.
Then
it's like the golden rule plus.
The golden rule plus.
I like that.
And that applies to everything.
Just coined that, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get that trademark.
That applies to marriage. That applies to, healthcare. That applies to a lot of, if you can take better care of somebody than what they would want to be cared for, then that's just, often we choose neutral. If someone offends us, we choose, oh, I didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. But if you could not say anything and then bless them on top of that, that's just like amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Right. And some people say, oh, if I just go neutral and I just keep my mouth shut, that's enough. But if you take it a next step and say, it wasn't just enough. Now the person who just yelled at me, I didn't yell back at them. But then I offer them a blanket, or I offer them a cell phone charger, or I offer them a snack or a Sprite or, whatever. Now it's like, whoa,
And this is why you and your wife are still married.
Probably.
Yes. Yeah. It all comes together, man.
Yeah. Now we passionately discuss things. Don't get me wrong. We some passionate discussions.
Passionate discussions.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But when you're continuing to have those discussions,
right.
That's the main takeaway. If you're not talking, then
that's it. That's where the problem has really manifested.
Right.
Yeah. When it just, I'm done talking.
So keep the communication over. It may be passionate communication, but
yeah. I love that. Yeah. Trent, you got any questions for this guy?
I don't. I mean, you covered all of it. That was great, and thank you for what you do, Matt.
Thanks,
It's truly amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I can't wait. Are you gonna have Keeping the Calm Part 2?
I think my next one was trying to increase retention in the emergency department, and I'm trying to write another one that's like solve one problem with one solution, and that's just such a big problem. Turnover rate in the hospital right now for several of them is around 75% within 1 year.
Holy moly.
So it's just, there's a tremendous rate of burnout.
Why? Is it just because it's so stressful and it's not well managed?
I think it's just a multifaceted issue. When you're short staff, then the staff that you can acquire while you're trying to acquire more staff gets burnt out because they're getting worked so much.
Yeah.
And then they leave when the new ones are coming in. So it's this constant just moving. But then also trying to feel supported by leadership, by management, having the tools that you need. And it's usually there's some simple process things. It's usually not one big giant problem. It's 1,000 little problems.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's a essential, necessary service, but at the same time, it's a private industry. So there's a profit motive, right?
Right.
So if I can get 3 people to do the job, why should I hire the 4th?
Right.
Right. But yet that 4th would make all 3 of the other ones stay a little bit longer, potentially.
Right. Totally. And like I say, so there's one medicine we commonly give in the ER, Zofran, for nausea, vomiting. It starts with a Z. And when we go to the medication machine, pharmacy puts it in there. You got meds A through Z. Well, Z's on the floor. Now I got to put my knee on the floor every time I go to pull this out of this machine. That's just a productivity killer. Like when I do that 30 times a day and I'm bending over and put my knee on the floor.
And that's one of the most common ones.
It's one of the most common ones.
So it should be
right here at level so that I can just easily get it and go. Or there was an instance where the trash cans were too small. You don't want a giant dumpster in there where it's just accumulating a whole day.
But you also don't want to change a bag every hour.
Because now you're changing it out and
and you go from doing your job to janitorial.
It's a productivity killer. It just it kills the momentum of it. And then, like I said, it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts.
You're an industrial engineer, dude. I hate to say this to you, but you're an industrial engineer. You know that, right?
No.
Like you're looking at processes. No. Yeah. Yeah. So you're the guy that's like, hey, if this machine was this high instead of this high, we could get more out of it.
Oh, yeah. And it reduces frustration and it just makes the day just go much smoother.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, but you're an industrial engineer.
Hey, that's another job title I can add to the list of.
I'm not telling him to go back to school. That's not what I'm saying. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and it wouldn't be that hard, right? So you look at that medication and you go, okay, this one got and over the course of a month, this one got prescribed 70% of the time. Okay, well, then it should be eye level, like very little reach.
Yep. Even as far as when the patients come into the ER, like what does their perspective look like? And sometimes it would be helpful if the people who design it walk that path. Let's see what this actually looks and feels like. What's it look like to sit in the chair in the waiting room and look at the person behind the desk?
I'll tell you, some hospitals is really weird. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna. Well, I'll just say it. The Murfreesboro Hospital. The last time I was in there, it was odd how you approach the ER, and then once you come in, you go through a metal detector, which I get it, you have to, but then you kind of go this way and come around, and I spent a couple minutes going.
And you're already anxious. You're already upset, whether you're there for yourself or you're there for a family member. The anxiety is already there. So it's like, now you're turned around and confused, and you don't know what's going on with you or whoever. And
that's why you're there.
Things just escalate. Yeah, most people go to the ER for peace of mind. Fear and anxiety brings them to the ER. Like they don't want to go to bed with it. Something that's just, it gets going through your mind, and you're trying to figure it out. And
they've read WebMD.
Right.
Yep. They've self-diagnosed.
Dr. Google is running. So when we as healthcare providers try to speak just to lab work, imaging, and test, if we don't offer you peace of mind, we've not done a good job. We've not solved the problem of why you've come to the ER. So we need to give you peace of mind that you're safe to go home.
This dude's fixing to be a CEO. I'm calling it. Calling it. He should be anyway. Actually, problem is your ideas are too good, so you probably won't make it that far. They'll squash you before you get there.
I hope not.
That's my cynical side. I apologize. I don't mean to be Mr. Negativity, but all right, awesome, Matt Wiley. If I ever find myself needing to be transported by helicopter, I'm gonna be like, hey, if I can talk, I want the helicopter that Matt Wiley's on.
I appreciate that, man.
And he knows a friend of mine.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Joe. I love Joe, and so that's pretty cool. Now, are you on the same helicopter as him?
Yep.
Are you really?
Yep. I'm dual licensed, so I'm a nurse paramedic, and we typically do nurse paramedic roles, so I can fly in either seat.
Either one.
So if we have a staffing need on the paramedic side, I get to fly with the nurses, and then I fly with mostly the paramedics, but I see him at shift change in the morning. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, we just completed his orientation, so
yeah,
I flew with him quite a bit.
That's awesome. Yeah. He's a good dude.
Yeah, Joe is a good dude.
Name of the book and where can we get it?
Keep the Calm, and you can get it on my website, SkyNurseWiley.com.
SkyNurseWiley.com. We'll check that out. All right. Hey, Trent, anything cool going on in the Murfreesboro area that we need to know about?
Nothing off the top of my head, but
nothing. Was that a ball joke?
If any, we can both say those to each other, right? No, I'm just. It's good to be back. Ready to hit the ground running. We got some cool stuff going on. So
Trent basically skipped the month of June. He's like, "Nah, I'm not doing it."
June was really crazy. It was pretty stressful too, honestly. But
yeah.
Glad to be back. Excited for where we're at, and got some new stuff in the percolator that's coming to fruition. So
that's nice.
Yeah, man.
Well, we got the patio open at Cedar Glade. I put lights up.
They look awesome, man.
It turned out really nice. Yeah. So if you're looking for somewhere, and it's shady completely by about 4:30 every afternoon.
Man, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That is perfect.
And not shady like Slim Shady, like shady like cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's the kind of mood I'm in today, buddy.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry,
Matt.
Sorry.
Welcome to the real show.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, y'all.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for being a guest here, and thank you for all that you do. Our community is better because of people like you. So thanks a bunch. I guess that's it.
We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks. See you soon.
Bye.